Hello and welcome back to another exciting review. This is one I've been waiting quite a while to take a look at, but I'm very excited to now review it. Today we'll be taking a look at the Lego Star Wars The Justifier. This is from the Bad Batch, and this is Cad Bane's ship during the Bad Batch timeline. First appearing in Season 1 of the Bad Batch, and yeah, it's quite a cool set. First, taking a look at the actual box, we have Lego Star Wars up in the top left. This set is for 9+. Its set number is 75323. It is the Justifier with 1,022 pieces. This is using the new box art that they're using for Star Wars. And then the bottom bottom left corner, we have the Bad Batch of Wrecker, Hunter, and Tech. And then the bottom right, we have our 5 characters of Cad Bane, Todd 360, or Toto 360, Omega, Hunter, and Finnick Shand, with 4 of those being unique to the set, and Hunter being a repeat from the actual from the ship that they have. I forget the name of it at the moment, but yeah. So here we have the actual Justifier out and in an awesome display over, I can't remember what planet this is. It reminds me a lot of Bespin, but I'm not sure if that's what it is or not. But we can see the actual ship out and on its full glory, shooting at something in the skies of this planet. Just looking around at the side of the box art here, I was just zooming out because it's so big. There we can see a different view of the actual Justifier. And then turning it around towards the back, we get a nice view of it actually on the ground, and our character sort of in a gunfight here. We get a few of the actual features of the set, which we'll be taking a look at when we actually have it in hand. And here we have our characters. So in the actual scene, Omega is captured by Cad Bane, who also Finnick Shand wants to capture, and then Hunter tries to save her. Now, if you watch the show, you know what happens, but this is really cool to get in an actual physical set. And you get the addition of actual money, which we'll look at when we actually get to the set, but you can't actually put that anywhere in the ship, which is interesting. There's not a lot of space to look in it, as we can see by the sort of top here, and we'll look at that when we look at the set, but as a whole, we'll just look at the ship. Without further ado, and here we have the actual set out and built, and I have to say that this is a really well put together set. It is quite large and is very, very hefty, and gives off the look of the ship very, very well. It's pretty much 1-to-1. I do love the angles that's going on here. There's a lot to look at, so we'll just quickly kind of just have the characters set up a little bit. We'll look at the ship a little bit, just starting with the front, and I have to say, this is amazing looking ship. Right here we have this sort of clouded out look for the actual lookout point, like how you would look through the ship, how you'd fly it, the cockpit, that's what I'm looking for. The actual top of the ship is very, very sleek, very flattened. And we have for the wings here, a really, really cool look that they have going on. And as I was building, I was like, how are they going to keep it up like that? But you can see there's this sort of little piece right there that keeps it at an angle. So you have these pieces here that you make that gives us this angled look for the actual ship. And there is some functionality in the actual top pieces, which we'll look at in a second. Just looking at the guns here too, that's pretty cool. There are only a couple stickers within the set, with 4 of those being here up the front. So we have 1 sticker on each side that has this sort of paneling here, and then we also have this sort of sticker up top here, which is on the same on the other side as well, which we can see here. It's this really cool sort of faded paint, sort of. It's been through a lot of sort of bounty missions and stuff like that. I gotta say though, this ship is very, very big and very weighty, and you can feel it as you're picking it up. And there goes a flick-fire missile. Looking at that feature that I was talking about for right here, what you do is basically just lift this up right here, and you can see that you actually have your extra flick-fire missiles on either side. And you can see there is a little bit of technique going on as well, which we'll take a look at. That is for the landing gear right here. That goes into the actual hammer or the thrusters of the ship, which will look at when we actually have it in flight mode. just closing that, you can see on the other side as well, it is the same. Just flip this up and you can see there's your extra one there. So you get 4 in total, 2 of which you can already put inside. And then here you can see the actual like thruster, like secondary thrusters almost. So you can see it's a brick built sort of firing cannon here. Got a bigger gun and then a smaller gun, and then you can have your flick fire missile there. And if you wanted to, you can take that off. Super easy and wouldn't detract from the look. That is up to you. Knocking our characters to the side, you can see on either side of the turrets, at the end of it, we do have little thrusters here at the end. And just looking at the back of the ship, before we get to the main sort of cool part, we'll look at the top of the actual ship. So just raising this up a little bit so we can get a better angle. This is something kind of getting something I don't really like is this sort of right here. So this here is our sorry about this janky camera movements, as our actual Technic connection to the back thruster here, which we'll look at in just a second. But they don't find a way to sort of cover it, and I don't think you could. Like, it would take a lot of sort of brick building to figure out a way. But just something that you wouldn't be able to see if you're looking at head on, but if you're like looking down at it, like you can see it's very holy. You can see through the actual ship. You can see there's my finger. So it is something to note. I do sort of like the sort of techniques that go on in the top of the actual ship. And there is a lot of detail, especially around here, which is pretty fun to build. Right, this section here. You build it on both sides, and it's just a lot of cool like piping, and like it's really cool actually. But I do not like this, so just something to note. Just bringing this back down so we can get a better look at the rest of the ship. Look at it from the back here. You can see it's quite long. This is the actual like thruster, the main thruster, and there's a lot of sort of Technic building and a lot of attention that goes to this particular piece. And this is actually interesting in itself. I'm just going to take it off just to show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to zoom in. I dropped it, as I always do. So this was really cool sort of technique that they did. So you have this little brick built platform that you build, and then you do a sort of tile piece here that you stick into the actual like studs itself, and then you stick these triangle pieces in that as well. So these aren't actually attached normally to the actual studs. They're in it in sort of like a sideways way, which gives a super interesting look to it, and is nothing I've ever seen before. So I thought I'd mention that. It's super interesting to actually do. It gives a super cool look at the top of the actual thrusters there. And then there's, as I was talking about earlier, the sort of like that hole kind of going through. Like, it is what it is. I'd rather that and having a cool ship with a cool feature into it than like an inaccurate ship. So I'm cool with that. And while we're actually at the back of the ship here, we'll flip it around, knocking everything inside around as well. So we can see there's actual landing thrusters. There's no lighting, I'm sorry. Right here for the actual bottom of the ship, which we'll look at when we actually lift the ship up. But there is at the back a little opening that you can open. Now, no one can walk in and out of it unless you like have them so like whatever, because you can't get in there. That's where all of the Technic piecing is. So it's like this long hallway for the actual Technic to work through it, because as you saw, like Technic continues into the wing here to the actual landing thrusters, because when you lift this piece up here at the back, that will lift up and the landing gear will lift up as well, which is really cool. Before we do that, we'll look at the interior and these sort of little extra, like this is a little extra thing you build at the end There is nowhere to put it in the ship. It's a bunch of Imperial credits with like a trophy, and I'm not sure what this green thing is, but assuming that's something monetarily value as well. Now to get in the actual ship, you lift this piece here. I notice it's easier just to lift it from the front there and take it off. You can see this is where we have our stickers, and it's just like the top of the ship. Setting it to the side, we'll look at the interior. Now the interior is quite small, as you can see, which is fine. Again, kind of making room for all that Technic. So as you can see, our captain chair with Cad Bane right here. He's got 2 cargo containers, and like moving the ship around, you can see that some of the stuff fell out. You get thermal detonators in there. There is also a lightsaber handle, which is interesting, if that is an actual lightsaber handle or if it's just used for something else. I'm not sure. You can see we have Lobo here. He's keeping an eye on Omega, and again that little sort of prison. Oh, she's lost her hair. That little prison sort of is quite small and is quite annoying to actually put the figure in and take out of. So I kind of just shoved her in. I can't really get her right now, so we'll just leave her in, and we'll look at the figures in a second. But that is something to note. If you do have bigger hands, it is going to be quite annoying to sort of place figures inside of this. So yeah, so if you wanted to take this into flight mode, all you got to do is basically lift it up, pretend that you're starting your engines, you're flying around. So you lift it up, and you'll just flip this around for better ease of access. So you take this thruster piece here, and all you do is just lift. It's probably easier to do it from here. You can know that it starts to click. And again, when you get it into this, lift it up a little bit. When you get into this position here, where you can't like put it any farther, you know that you're in your right position. In doing so, we'll actually have the landing gear. You can see that it's now up. If I bring that hammer back down, I like to call it a hammer, you can see that that folds back out. So that's quite cool, and a nice addition that didn't need to be put in, but actually was. So I'm glad for that. You can see here there's another landing gear that kind of sticks out, but that's fine. And here is the actual back of the thrusters. Here you get 4 different thrusters within this sort of mechanism there. And then now it's ready for deep space exploration or deep space bounty missions, whatever. And again, you can kind of see that hole there. It's a little easier to see now, kind of gaping, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's a cool ship design, I'd have to say. Quite impressed. Kind of looking at that with it actual just out and about. Love the coloring, the black, the gray. And again, that big thruster there is really cool, and a really cool selling point of the ship. And I'm glad that they actually were able to sort of bring that to Lego in a very sort of well put together ship. We'll look at figures in just a second, but I just wanted to sort of give you a little bit of a look at it before we look at the figures. Without further ado, let's look at those. So starting up with Hunter here, if you have the Bad Batch ship, which I'm forgetting the name of right now, you'll already have this character, but if you don't, then you'll obviously won't have him, and we'll get him in this set. But I'll just start with him, as most people will probably already have this character. For whatever reason, I'm not picking up that printing, but I do quite like the Bad Batch characters and their printing that they have for Lego. A lot of gunmetal gray, red going on, and with Hunter here, we get a little bit of white for the mask there. I'm not sure why I'm not getting light for him. He also comes with a face printing, taking off the helmet there. We can see there that he has his sort of, why is it not focusing? Hello. He has his face painting on there as well, along with the bandana. He comes with actual hair, which is nice to come in such an expensive set, which is cool. And it's very accurate to his actual hairstyle in the show. He does have an alternative face as well, kind of a more angry or sort of more focused going on. So that is cool there. Cool character. Moving on to Fennec Shand. This is also a cool character. She comes with her signature orange and black helmet, which is a new mold with it's dual molded with a blaster, and she comes with a suitcase. Her printing is really, really nice, along with that sort of orange here at the bottom. Kind of get that cloak design that they have in the actual character design. A lot of gunmetal gray. There's a little bit of, and also arm printing, which is cool to see on this character. So not much going on, just a couple stripes, and then the other side she's got like this armor pad there on the elbow, along with more stripes there. Just looking at her helmet and then her face, really cool face, honestly. This is like a more like sly, smirky face, and then a more neutral face. And she too comes with her hairpiece, which is nice to see. Putting that on, this is what it looks like. You can see that it's got quite a long hair tied up there. So that's pretty cool to see. Looking at that. Setting it to the side, we'll look at Lobo next. So here, he's just a little one stud character. It's cool to see this, especially as being a Clone Wars fan, to actually finally get this character. I'm not sure if it appeared in another set, but I've never gotten this character yet. So if it has, this is my first seeing of it. Nice printing here for the actual like belly of the figure, along with two yellow dots for the eyes and the sort of glasses look that's going on there. Really cool character. And for the main draw of the actual set, being Omega and then Cad Bane here in just a second. Seeing Omega finally in a Bad Batch set, as this is the only other one that there is currently. Hopefully that changes here now that Season 2 is released. We can see that very, very nice printing for the actual torso here. She is a small kid, so she does get that tiny non-movable legs. Her accessory here is drawing a blank here. Shackles. We'll go with shackles. I can't think of the name right now. But she too does actually have arm printing, which is nice. She's a gray arm with two sort of printing for red there on the shoulder and the sort of wrist, which is cool to see. And then continuing with the back there, that is her print. If I could keep her straight. So nice printing for this character. Her hairpiece is nice. And the actual printing for the face is also really cool as well. And again, a neutral face and then a more like scared or like tough looking face there for Omega, which is nice to see. Hopefully we see her in her new sort of outfit and bow that she gets later in the season. But hey, one can hope. And then the main draw himself, being a Clone Wars fan, this is amazing to finally get Cad Bane. Again, I've never actually gotten this character before, and seeing him in his brand new outfit for the Bad Batch and this sort of more sheriffy look is really nice to see. Sitting here, he has his signature hat, a little smaller than it would usually be, as it is a different one than his usual attire. You can see very nice face printing for the face there. He only gets one, as he has a hat, and you'd be able to see the second face. His sort of breathing apparatus there continues onto the back as well, which is nice to see. And again, the printing for the actual character is really, really nice to see. Nice vocabulary. But a lot of printing going on, especially for the feet and the actual like legs of him. And again, the continuing with like that belt there. It's really, really cool to see. Other than that, that's all the characters, and we'll look. So here we have the instruction manual. Quite a basic instruction manual. We have the actual Justifier with their characters out and about, and just looking through, just a basic one. Interestingly enough, Hunter is the progress bar and not Cad Bane or Omega, which is something that I thought was interesting going through. Other than that, it's quite a big instruction manual, and it does come in that booklet that you have to open up just to protect it. I'm now noticing that I'm missing a sticker somewhere on the sheet, on the actual set, so I'll have to look at that later. But just a couple of stickers here that you can see. You can see bigger ones on the side. These are for the top there. This is for the actual money. That is a sticker and not a print. And then these are for the actual cockpit piece. So I'm assuming that's supposed to go on the actual front of it. And I'll fix that later. And then just looking at the actual extra pieces, there's quite a bit and some cool ones here. We get an extra knife. There is a thermal detonator, some more handcuffs there. There is Wolverine Golden Claws. There is a lightsaber handle there, and just a lot of Technic pieces here and there as well. So quite cool. So before we move on to final thoughts, I just want to do a quick, just couple comparisons before we move on. So here we have the Justifier with the Bad Batch's ship. Again, I'm forgetting the name. It's quite a bit smaller than the Justifier. It only takes about the cockpit to the actual main thrusters. And again, just a couple more. I have the ATTE. I figured I would show since it is still a part of that era. The Bad Batch takes place just after the actual Clone Wars, so this is something you would probably see within if it actually landed next to one. So you can see this one's quite a bit taller. The ATTE is quite a bit taller, but it's about the same sort of size, like going just like that. And then just one final one. I wanted to look with the Razor Crest. Just another bounty hunter ship. So this is the Justifier next to the Razor Crest, just for your bounty hunter needs. Now, whether or not they would have ever actually met or ran into each other remains to be seen. I have no idea. But it's just some final thoughts as we close the video together. This is a very, very great set and a very great representation of the Justifier. I've not seen the season 2 of Bad Batch, so I don't know if it appears again. But in the brief time that we did see it within the Bad Batch, it's a very, very nice looking ship and a very interesting design with the actual thrusters here at the back. I do have it up here just in landing position because it's so big and I don't have that big of a space to actually look at everything all at once. Looking at it, it is very, very weighty as well, which is nice. For this, it's a big price point with a lot of pieces, so I was pretty happy with how it actually came together and how most of the piecing goes to the actual ship. Comes with great characters, and if you don't actually have the Bad Batch ship, all of them would be unique to this set. I'm not sure if the Fennec Shan used in this set is the same one used in the Boba Fett's throne room or not. I'm not sure, but just mentioning now that for me, I do not have that character, so that is the first time I would have that. And it is great to see Omega, and again, of course, Cad Bane. It's great to see him. But overall, very, very great set. I do highly recommend. It is a very great display piece. I wouldn't recommend sort of playing with this set as it is quite like weighty to it, so a kid might have trouble sort of maneuvering it around. You do have to be careful because it would break sort of easily if you dropped it. But overall, it has that sort of very nice appeal to it. Have it on display, maybe next to the actual Bad Batch shuttle, or the Razor Crest, or whatever sort of other displays you want to have it with. But overall, a very great set all around, great characters, and only real two gripes with it would be the actual interior is quite small, and the sort of hollow spacing we have here for the actual mechanism of the thruster there. But it's understandable to sort of have this work properly, and is otherwise a very great set. Highly recommend. But if you do enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I can't wait to look at what we'll see next. Peace.